Welcome to Energy Linguist, a sacred space for awakening souls ready to learn how language shapes consciousness and discover what energy has been speaking all along. I am Laura Ahern, the Energy Linguist, a spiritual channel and the founder of Linguistic Consciousness Studies. In this podcast, I share divine transmissions and teach you to decode the language shaping your consciousness so that you can heighten your intuition, claim your calling, and learn to create consciously instead of unconsciously. Take a breath. This is where unconscious creation becomes creative mastery. Hello, everyone. I am your host, Laura Ahern, the Energy Linguist, and I'm so excited to have you here with me again today so that we can continue to expand our consciousness together and receive these sacred messages from divinity so that our lives become intentionally creative. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited about today's episode because there has been a transmission coming through from divinity that has been repetitive and nuanced. And when this happens, it's always an indication that this is a message that the collective needs to hear because they are ready to break free of something that has had them trapped. And so today's podcast has the real potential to crack something open that most people have not yet allowed themselves to discover or even look directly at. And so today I want to kick this off with an invitation for you to be radically honest with yourself. Who's willing to do that today? When you are willing to be honest with yourself and look at something in a nuanced way, maybe looking at it differently than your ego initially wants to see it, you will not only discover much, but you will begin to liberate yourself from the unseen that has had you stuck. And so I want to begin with a question for you. And the question is, what would you do? How would you act? Literally, what would you be doing if you truly believed in yourself? Not believing in yourself with limits, but true belief. Beyond any boundaries. If you knew unwaveringly that your success is inevitable, what actions would you be taking for yourself? Now be aware of how your mind rises, because typically the surface stuff comes first, where we start to look at all of this external doing that would happen. And so I want to invite you not to look at this from the place of your aspirations, or even from your vision board or the journaling that you've done. Instead, I want you to actually look at your current actions. It's easy to see the things we've been doing. And yes, I always want to invite you to see that and celebrate it, to credit yourself for all of your efforts, while also today being willing to look at maybe what you're doing that could be creating distractions or avoidance from you moving the dial. a piece of this message that is coming through today is that there is a lot of doing that is happening in your life, a ton of busy work, a lot of things you can check boxes for, that you can give yourself credit for. A lot of things that they're saying you feel like can't be done without you. They need you. You're obligated to them. And yet divinity is shining light on the deeper unconscious patterns with the hopes that you will start to not only see, but be willing to be honest with yourself about how much doing is happening that is actually distracting you from moving on in your life. So I ask you right now, in your life as it is, are you willing to look at your actions and ask yourself, what is truly evolving you out of old patterns? And what actions are keeping you cycling in the old patterns, but distracting yourself, deluding yourself that you're being busy, that you're working towards it? The lie that because you're working, you'll eventually get there. When we're willing to look within ourselves, to pay attention to the nuances of our actions, we'll see that the actions don't lie. We may hear the reasons rise, our justifications on all of the reasons why we're continuing to do the things we are. And it's not that they're not justifiable, they are. However, whether we like it or not, the truth is that what we choose to act upon day after day, what we keep saying yes to, what we keep telling ourselves we cannot avoid, is going to continue to create the story and outcomes that we're experiencing. My hope for you today is that you not only desire to see it clearly, but are willing to see it clearly, not in judgment, but in an opportunity to liberate yourself by evoking the kind of radical honesty that will actually change something for you. This week, there's been so much messaging and transmissions coming through around what you are saying is in the way, is not really in the way. And so I want to share an example, a little metaphor that they showed me clearly, almost comically, that might help you to anchor the understanding of this. As many of you know, I am hosting an incredible retreat in the sacred redwoods a week from today. We kick off this threshold moment March 17th. And I want you to pause and imagine that I called you right now and I said, I have booked you a flight. It leaves next week and everything is covered. All you need to do is show up at the airport. What would happen? The truth is that about 98% of you would not show up at that airport. Divinity has shown me it quite clearly. Now, this might sound bizarre, but why? Why wouldn't you? If I called you right now, why wouldn't you show up at that airport? See, this is where the truth gets tricky. And the only reason the truth can be tricky is when it's a programmed belief that isn't actually aligned with the deeper divine truth that exists at the core. For most people, even people who are deeply saying that they want to be in the redwoods and want to receive this transformation, the likelihood of them showing up would be very low. And it's fascinating because suddenly you realize that the obstacle you thought was in the way, the cost, the logistics, the timing, even when it's removed, suddenly another objection rises. A whole new list of reasons why you cannot give to yourself. Your mind will start to list off all of the commitments, the obligations, the people who need you, why the timing isn't right. It just can't be right now. There's just too much going on. And I promise you that if you were to take that list and systematically address each item one by one, something brilliant would start to reveal itself. Because underneath every reason is another reason. And underneath that one is another. And when you finally get to the bottom of that list, when you finally cleared and exhausted every external justification, what you find waiting there is something quieter and more uncomfortable than any of the reasons that revealed themselves. At the core of all of these justifications is that you don't feel you are worth receiving. You don't feel you are worth giving your time to, your money to, your attention to. You fear that the investment in yourself won't pay off. And on some level, you're telling yourself that you feel it is a waste or it is irresponsible to even consider investing in yourself. It's not a circumstance problem. It's not a timing problem. It's a self-worth signal. And it's living inside your energetic body right now. It's not just running this decision, whether literal or hypothetical, about coming into the redwoods and joining this select group of incredible women as we all cross this threshold together. But it's also running your decisions of all other things that are unfolding in your life. The seemingly reasonable justifications of why you could do something for yourself later, or why you should only dip one toe in and don't jump in just yet. What this inability to receive and say yes to yourself really indicates is what you unconsciously believe about yourself. And that core belief that you're holding, that was never in alignment with you to begin with, that was not yours, it was given to you, that is creating the ripple effect in the experiences of your life. Now, if you were with me last week on our previous episode of Energy Linguist podcast, you know we began exploring the energetic architecture of why we stay stuck. We talked about the root chakra and the solar plexus. When they team up, that hyper yang masculine energy that starts to cycle. And we also talked about the sacral field. And today we are returning to those same energy centers, but from a different angle. Because divinity is not finished with this conversation. And part of the reason is that just like this example of all of the justifications that you hold, our energy system is extraordinarily nuanced in a way that will almost invisibly convince us to stay stuck in the survival cycles. And it's happening on a vibrational level, in an unconscious dialogue. And so today, I want to bring you into a deeper understanding of why. Because when we expand our awareness and our consciousness around what's happening with us as an energetic being, we have a greater opportunity to become freer than we have ever been before. Your root chakra is the seat of your survival intelligence, your safety, stability, security. It seeks predictability. And it governs your most primal question, which is whether that ground beneath you is solid and safe. And it is so important for us to honor that. As we've discussed, this core center has kept the human species alive across millennia. And it's not the enemy, though it has gotten a very bad rap over the generations because of the old paradigm's excessive masculine nature. However, what's really important to understand here is that the root chakra and that energy house itself is balanced at its core. However, we've been operating from it in an unbalanced way. And the unbalanced expression does not know how to distinguish between a genuine external threat and the internal discomfort of a challenge of belief in order to allow us to become free to be what we are. To that survival mechanism, both of those fears feel the same. So starting something new, leaving a relationship, saying yes to a calling, receiving an investment, doing something radical for yourself, it all registers as a risk. And it is a signal that always feels the same, that wants to encourage you to wait and to make sure first, to make sure it's certain before you move. Just as we discussed last week, your solar plexus energy steps in, and it's the center of personal power, of your self-worth, your identity, and it also holds the willingness to act. And when it's balanced, you'll experience great confidence and personal power in it. You'll find the confidence to move before conditions look perfect or assured. It is the energetic home of the essence of I am capable. I am worthy. I will try. However, when it's depleted or blocked or imbalanced, compressed by years of the root survival signals being overactive, it starts to ask different nuanced questions, such as, can I even handle this? What if I'm making the wrong choice? What if my past says I'm not possible? I have all of this proof in my emotions and memory that I've failed. What if I run into that again? And this is the place where so many of us exist, right here in this loop. In this loop of the root asking if it's safe, and the solar plexus asking, am I enough? Can I do this? is where we get trapped and nothing moves. Because just as I shared last week, both centers are dominantly yang, meaning masculine in their energetic expression. They are analytical, they're outward reaching, they're calculating, they are pals. They get one another. And when they team up, that energy can be powerful and feel unstoppable. But as we know, that yang energy cannot give you what you're looking for, especially within this awakening era. What I want you to understand about this loop is that it did not arise in isolation. It arose within a paradigm that we were living in as a collective for the last 26,000 years before this divine awakening kicked off in 2012. This is a world that was beautifully built on a masculine dominant energy structure, and it has served us so well until it hasn't. It was built on the output, the exertion, the making shit happen, hyper productivity, outpouring. And when we were in this masculine creative process, it was beautiful. But we have learned that that era has gone on too long because the outcome has been an imbalanced experience of the masculine energy, of complete burnout. And in this new world, we are being asked to rebalance the masculine and feminine energies with the return of the divine feminine to help bring both back of them into harmony. Both of them back, not just one. In the old world, the message was clear. Your worth is what you give. Your worth is measured by your output. Your safety is earned through how much you produce. Your value is how much you hold, hoard, and how little you require. Do not take. Do not need anyone. That is not safety. It's self-preservation. And in another episode, we will dive into the difference in what self-preservation means. Our energetic essences of root and solar plexus operated within that framework with this kind of terrible effectiveness. They made sense there. But what divinity is making clear right now is that the paradigm has begun to shift. The reason that the burnout, the overwhelm, the depletion, the dissatisfaction is getting so intense isn't because something's wrong with you. It's not because you just haven't learned to be satisfied with the way the world is. It's literally because the world is no longer the way it once was. It is changing. God is asking you to change within it. There's a new world rising, a new consciousness opening, and you're being asked to be a part of it. And the request right now is coming through the discomfort that is rising. It's attempting to give you a message. The old world that rewarded the output and honored depletion is no longer going to sustain that which you have been trying to build, because the rules have changed. The literal universe has changed. The paradigm has shifted. The vibrational frequencies are different. And if you keep playing by the old rules, you will not just fail to break out of survival. You will get to a point where you're so burnt out that you don't survive at all. In the ancient wisdom of the nadis, the energetic channels through which your life force, your prana, moves, it teaches us that energy has direction. And the direction of that energy matters profoundly, especially as it pertains to today's message. When energy moves upward through the body, ascending through our energetic centers, it carries the frequency of liberation, of evolution, the expansion beyond what the conditioned self has known. And when it moves downward, when it's descending, it carries the frequency of divinity and your highest destiny. Today, our focus when we talk about these lower chakras, since these chakras are anchored in our material self, our human self, and how we're operating in the world, our question becomes focused on what are we here to liberate ourselves from? As this energy is willing to ascend from the root, moving up through the sacral into the solar plexus, this divine life energy force rising. What is it rising for? What is it setting you free from? Today, God wants to invite you into the recognition and the reclamation that this energy rising, connecting with our highest self and our highest purpose is doing so to set you free from a life that has been organized entirely around fear and survival. To remove you from the state where the sympathetic nervous system has been running permanently at full capacity. Freeing you from the hyper focus on lack of what's wrong and what's missing, what doesn't yet feel safe or enough or certain to act upon, and instead inviting you to embrace your freedom beyond the overanalyzation. The root chakra center, in its highest expression, is not a cage. It's a foundation. In part, it's why I'm taking you beautiful women into the redwoods to anchor into the most ancient foundation that holds us while allowing us to safely reach and stretch out into the ethers. The redwoods allow us to safely reach that energy upward while staying fully rooted and grounded in this earth. Without the evolution of knowing how to hold this energy as it reaches upward, without the willingness to let it move towards something greater than survival, and trying to figure it out alone without divine assistance, solely attempting to rely on other human beings who are just as lost, we will cycle in that survival state until there's nothing left to cycle with. This is why the question that we kicked off with in today's episode around what action are you taking is so important for us to be honest with ourselves about. Because once we start to look at all the reasons why we are acting or not acting, we can really take stock in what matters more to us, to choose what we are really willing to take action upon based on how important we know it is to our evolution. Intentional, courageous, radical action, big yeses are what initiates this upward current of liberation. It is how I have become free within my own life so quickly. I have condensed timelines and accomplished things that people don't accomplish in a lifetime in a mere matter of years, a few very short years. And it's from the deep divine conviction of radical yeses, of trusting that what is calling me is so certain that nothing in this material world could create doubt around it. Choosing to receive it. I receive it with my yes. This is what begins to move the energy out of the loop and into something that will actually carry you forward, not just with ease, but propelling you quickly, confidently into a state of fulfillment and sustainability. And here is where it goes even deeper than you might expect. When you say yes, when you take action for yourself to receive. And I'm not talking about the action you think I mean. I'm not talking about action to do something. I'm talking about action to give to yourself. Everything changes. This invitation isn't about pushing harder. It's not about working longer. It's not about doing more or proving more. That's the old action and the old paradigm. That's the very yang, dominant, masculine paradigm that the root and solar plexus are so comfortable with that you do it very unconsciously. It keeps them very busy, and it allows you to dilute yourself by calling it progress. But it's time for you to stop deceiving yourself. And it's why today Divinity is inviting you into a different kind of action. One that is far more uncomfortable than the burnout. Go figure. And the action is in the receiving. Receiving is the most uncomfortable thing available to most human beings on this planet right now, because it is the thing that is required for us to move the dial and change our lives. I have some truth I want to share with you. If your effort and outpouring, overworking, was the key to your success, you would already be successful. Because you have already been giving it all and you know it. In fact, many of you know you can't imagine continuing to try to outpour at this pace. You intuitively know it will drain you and assuredly kill you in the long run. It's why such chronic diseases rise in our lives. It's because we've been in a prolonged state of imbalance due to the lack of receiving. This solution of receiving is contrary to everything the old paradigm taught us. It's contrary to everything we believe makes us valuable. Because we were taught that our worth was our output. that our safety was earned through how much we gave, how much we hoarded, how much we produced, how much we showed up for others before showing up for ourselves. And we internalized that unconsciously, deeply, structurally in the body, in our field. And we see it everywhere. In fact, one of the most devastating places that I'm witnessing it right now is witnessing it in the most powerful women on this planet. Women who are literally here on this planet right now during this awakening to be healers, to be channels, to be the ones who can help others receive and grow beyond their limits. These women I am talking about, much like the masses in the collective, have been so thoroughly programmed against receiving for themselves that they will fight against it. They argue against the receiving. They work against it, finding all of the justifications in the world on why they cannot receive. And they rationalize their way out of having to do the most uncomfortable thing, which is allowing themselves to be in the receiving. And I don't mean for a moment in a meditation. I mean giving yourself a substantial amount of your money, your time, your attention. And instead, these women who are meant to lead the world are holding themselves in a cycle of suffering. Simply because they refuse to allow themselves to receive. They find 20 reasons why it doesn't make sense for them to say yes to themselves right now. And what they do not yet see is that in refusing to receive, they are abandoning their leadership and their fullest impact for others. One by one, they are abandoning souls' contracts that they have with other souls to help them rise. They're unconsciously confirming the very belief that has kept them in survival. The belief that says, I am not worthy of receiving. And what divinity is making clear right now is this: the awakening that is unfolding on this planet is ushering in a new paradigm. And what that new paradigm holds is not success through more exertion. It holds success through receiving, through going within. The inner world, your inner knowing, your inner power. And it happens through taking in, through going within, and trusting the inner knowing that has been speaking to you long before you were ever willing to listen. The old pattern of overworking, of burning brightly through yourself, of giving until there was nothing left. It will not just fail to produce the results you want. It will no longer work at all. Your sacrifice will be in vain. What once sustained us is becoming what depletes us. And the willingness to break from it and to actually receive is not just indulgence. It's evolution. It's not optional. It's necessary for you to fulfill what your soul came here to do. And so I want to bring this home through talking about this through the lens of language, with the word receive in its core vibration. The Latin roots of the word receive, receper, re meaning back again, to oneself. And the keprehe, meaning to take, to grasp, to hold. This ancient vibration provides us clarity on what the word receive truly means, which is to take back to one's self, to take back that which was already yours. So I want you to let that land, not as a concept, but as a truth about you. Receiving is not passive. It's not weak. It is the reclaiming of something that was always yours. Your time, your energy, your worth, your life that you've been giving away under the false belief that the giving was what made you valuable. What if the most powerful act available to you right now is to take yourself back? Today, I want to leave you with a deeper question that asks for your radical honesty. I want to invite you to look at the actions you're taking or not taking in the area of your life that matters most to your soul's calling. And to ask yourself, what is my action or lack of action telling me and indicating that I believe about my own worth? Because somewhere beneath the reasons, beneath the stories, the justifications, every time you've talked yourself out of beginning and saying yes to yourself, there is a belief running. And that belief is creating your reality with far more precision than any vision or mantra or desire you are consciously actively holding. The action that is being asked of you right now is not harder work. It's not more discipline. It's the opposite. It's reharmonizing the self. It is bringing this balance back into your life with the willingness to receive, to take yourself back, to invest in yourself before the proof arises, with the deep inner conviction and knowing that you are the most invaluable thing you could ever choose. And choosing you before it feels safe, before it makes sense, before your solar plexus has calculated every possible outcome. And when you do that, when you act out against the fear, against the doubt, against the deeply conditioned voice that says it's not worth it, you do not just move forward. You liberate yourself. You tell the fear that you do not believe it. And for the first time, the energy begins to move in the direction that it's been trying to go to set you free from that chokehold of fear. If you resonate with this, if you are looking to break yourself free and do it right now, I invite you to give yourself an immediate yes to joining us in the Redwoods, March 17th through 21st. This is a threshold moment that divinity has orchestrated on behalf of all of the souls who are courageous enough to say yes to themselves now. And there will not be another moment in time such as this. They've aligned it with Mercury in retrograde, with the Trinity kickoff of St. Patrick's Day, with the new moon energy. We are not only experiencing the new moon and coming out of Mercury in retrograde at the same time, but the spring equinox, the threshold where darkness and light become held in equal balance, and we cross that threshold into the light of welcoming more light and clarity on our path. What unfolds over these 5 days are immeasurable to amplifying and propelling you in the direction of what your soul came here to do. If you have questions, it would be my honor to answer them and connect with you. You can email me at hello@lauraahern.com or DM me on Instagram, the.energy.linguist. And until we are together again, I'm sending you so much light and love and deep radical awareness and acceptance of your true nature so that you can fully rise into the fulfillment of your soul's calling as you've always intended. I'm sending you so much love. Namaste. Thank you for receiving these messages with an open heart. If you're ready to trust your intuition, read the energy speaking through your life, and claim the calling waiting for you, it's time to begin with the rise. Through the rise, you can become trained in Honorea Reiki, the first sovereign woman-channeled Reiki lineage in history, and receive a full year of healing, mentorship, and community. Visit lauraahern.com/rise to find out more. Everything you need to know is already speaking to you, and I can teach you to translate it. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and watch your language. It's creating everything.